Hello, welcome again to the class Environmental Science 2. Today is lesson number 4, History of Artificial Lighting. I am architect Faris Hilmi, will present regarding this topic today. So what is the history of artificial light? We shall see. It is the innovation of light that keep human innovating to improve lives so that human can improve our own life, especially for the future. This introduction of electricity sparks a new way to create light. Humans discover light from natural sources. They are the sun, the lightning, and the moon. With this, humans discover so many things. So, how it was started? It started as when long time ago the lightning struck the forest. So one of the timber get burned, and then it because of uh, and then it produced fire. It become the secondary source of light and heat. So human sees this fire as a source of life too. Why? Because when the lightning struck the forest, human as a first they smell something nice. They smell something really good. So they go to the forest and look what's happening, where the smell come from. And what they saw was the fire actually burned a few animals that were caught in the fire. And then because of that animal caught in the fire, it was the animal becomes roasted meat. And that the reason why Kenny Rogers decided to roast their chicken. Once humans know that fire need a, a source to burn, oil lantern later is created. It is another discovery that fire can be controlled, not only using timber. It is also using another type of fuel. Previously it was timber and later it become oil. What they need to do is to manage it by certain ways. It produces less fume and manageable size. It is also easier to handle and produce less heat. However, oil lantern is hazardous. Spill oil create huge fire. So this is actually quite dangerous. However, this discovery really improve human life to be more modern. Later, candle was created by freezing the oil that is also the fuel for the fire. It is safe to use, easier to control lighting size, smaller heat, and also less hazardous compared to the oil lantern. Therefore, human keep on discovering how it is to control the light. Oil lantern has changed in design after many years. It has changed to be more sophisticated, which also suitable for travel during darker hours. The additional glass design is to protect the fire from being blew by the wind. That's why you can see at certain oil lantern they have handles so that they can carry the light without burning themselves. And then one day, because of human discover that lightning can also heat our food, cook our food properly, and then we can live in a proper and healthier. The studies of lightning also become the birth of electricity. It is because one day the Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity when he was playing the kite. It was actually very windy, and then suddenly the lightning strikes his kite. However, that's not alone. He decided to tie a key to the uh, thread, and then when the lightning strikes again to the kite, it actually produces electricity through the key. So now he discovers that electricity can conduct through certain material. Number one, through the water, and number two, through conduct through the metal material. And then later, Thomas Edison studies on how to control lights. Studies on producing a safe electric light bulb. That time it was still using carbon filament. So Thomas Edison produced not one or two light bulbs before he can produce a good and safe light. He produced more than 10,000 times of experiments before he able to produce a really good light bulb that is safe for human to use using electricity. So that light bulb is called incandescent light bulb. In this photo, it is shown that the light is different from the one that designed by the Thomas Edison. This one actually is more modern light bulb with screw on the bottom, electrical contact with a screw thread, and then they have proper insulation, and then with modern days using tungsten filament, and the quantity of tungsten filament was not the same that the Thomas Edison used. And then we also put inert gas in the glass mount. This glass mount is the most important part of the light bulb. Why? It is because this glass mount is to protect the tungsten filament or other kind of filament from break by the wind or by the force or any other. So as of 2020, this light bulb, which is already considered as vintage light bulb, is now famously known as Edison Lightbulb. Because of his discovery, this become a different name now, not being called incandescent anymore. It is now being called as Edison light bulb. The concept of incandescent light bulb is very similar to the oil lantern that we seen previously. Small fire to create light and a glass ball mount to protect the fire. However, the change of material is the tungsten filament is now being used for light. It is the best choice to produce light. By applying electricity to heat the filament wires, the filament become hot and glow. And that is the consistent light that we need in light. Because in previous time, when it was using oil lantern, candles, and other things, it's still not consistent. And the number of brightness is very low. With the amount of filament that you can put inside a single bulb, you can increase the light strength. Pros and cons of using incandescent light. Number one, it is consistent, safe to use, no fumes, and less heat compared to the oil lantern or candle. However, it also have cons, which is short lifespan, only for building usage until the invention of battery. When it is invention of battery, then it becomes very different way to produce light. Humans start to produce smaller bulb just for the torchlight and so many things. Alright, move on. Fluorescent light. The birth of white light. This is another big jump in human history where it become the first white light can be produced, and then almost zero emission of heat. It is also less electricity consumption compared to the incandescent light. It is also very stable and longer lasting compared to incandescent. This light, fluorescent light, also is able to produce light in the bigger space, and then it also comfort to eyes. Alright, so let's go to the timeline of major discoveries in modern lighting technology. So we already know that the first practical incandescent bulb with carbon filament was invented by Thomas Edison. It was in the 1879. In 1904, the first incandescent bulb with tungsten filament was produced. It is the better version of the first bulb. Then move on to 1932. The sodium lamp was produced commercially by Philips. In 1938, GE invented the first practical fluorescent tube. Move on to 1959. GE patented the first practical whole halogen bulb. Halogen bulb is another type of bulb which is so much smaller compared to incandescent bulb. However, they can produce a very strong light compared to incandescent. However, it also produces a lot of heat to the environment. Move on to 1962. Red LED was discovered by Nick Holonia Jr. at GE. Move on to 1963. OLED was demonstrated, and then metal halide lamp was also introduced in the 60s. Metal halide lamp is quite similar to the halogen. Let's move on to 1971. Yellow, green, and orange LED were produced. Imagine during those times, to produce an LED is very hard, and then to produce colors also hard. High pressure sodium lamp was produced commercially in 1970s. In 1980s, CFL was launched publicly by Philips. And then in 1993, blue LED was discovered by Shuji Nakamura at Nishia. So what is LED? LED is light emitting diode. What we already learned just now was red LED was discovered first, and then second, third, and fourth was orange, yellow, and green LED. Next was violet color LED, set stage for the discovery to the blue LED. In the 1990s, this light changes everything. With the discovery of blue light LED becomes to the white LED. White LED were made several different ways, including combination of red, green, and blue LEDs. This was very late, almost in the 2000, the white LED was produced. So what is the benefit of LED? Lifespan. Average of LED lasts 50,000 operating hours, up to 100,000 operating hours, or maybe more. Energy efficiency. LED lighting retrofit project results in 60 to 75% improvement in overall energy efficiency of a facility's lighting. It also operates well in cold and hot temperatures. Improve safety. LED consume less power. They can operate effectively on low voltage electrical system. These are generally much safer in the event that something goes wrong. And then it also generates directional emission. LED technology emits light for only 180 degrees. Every other type of light emits light 360 degrees around the source. This will actually produce a lot of energy. Design flexibility. LED are so small they can be virtually fixed on any type of application you can think of. Environmentally safe. Traditional solution contains mercury internal to the bulb and thus require special handling at the end of product's useful lifespan. None of these considerations are necessary with LED. Means the LED do not use any mercury at all. And then LED also operate on a very low voltage. And then last but not least is virtually zero UV emissions. LED are able to safely and reliably illuminate UV sensitive items like art that will break down and degrade over time if exposed to this type of emission. Means that, for example, very old antique painting, if it is exposed to UV light after many years, for example, hundred of years, the vintage antique painting will be damaged badly by UV light. So LED do not have UV emissions, means it is safe to be used for illuminate old and antique or vintage products in, for example, museums and also other types of galleries. So that's all for today for the topic history in artificial lighting. Thank you so much. We will see you again on the other lesson. Bye.